I'm delighted to welcome today Sahota, who is the former managing partner at Jarmans Solicitors. So welcome, Jay, to the programme.
Hello, Elaine. How are you? Good to see you on this Tuesday afternoon. Don't know where the week's going. It's crazy.
I know. Tell me about it. I said programme, I meant podcast, but we all know what I mean.
We know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I described you as the former managing partner. I'm not sure I've got that absolutely correct, because you're actually not leading the firm now in the way that you were. So describe what your current position is.
Very good question. Yeah, I sold the firm in January, so I'm still running the firm insofar as you can, whilst not being in the owner. So I sold the firm to an individual owner. So she owns the firm, and she's got various advisors around her. And I'm still the senior partner, so I still deal with compliance, complaints, managing the staff, work coming in, any issues that the staff have, troubleshooting, guiding, advising, etc., etc. So I'm sort of the glue that holds, not in an arrogant way, but I think they regard me as a glue sort of holds things together. That's their words, not mine. So I have an owner, so I'm not the owner anymore, but I still run the firm. So it's a very different role actually. But it's interesting. It's interesting.
It sounds to me, having been in your position many years ago, that you've got the rough end of the deal there. Most lawyers that I've worked with over the years are happy for people like me to come in and run the show, so they can carry on doing what they love to do, which is do the legal work as opposed to do the admin and all the stuff you rattled off.
Yeah, I do love my litigation. I do want to get back to doing just litigation one day. I know that sounds a bit trite, but it's right, given what you're saying. I mean, I love the work, I love the litigation, I love dealing with that. If you just gave that to me, I'd be happy all day, every day, dealing with that, as I used to before I, took up managerial roles. I used to be like a pig in muck dealing with litigation. Yeah. I absolutely loved it. And then I suddenly had this epiphany, if you like, and thought, well, let's try and run my own firm and do this and do that, and it'll be exciting and interesting. And I've got a saying as well: you don't know what you don't know what you want to do until you know what you don't want to do.
Exactly. If I had a pound for every time I said that to people, because you need to have the light and the dark, because how do you know it's light, if you don't know what that looks like, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. It's a bit like life, isn't it? I always say to people say, oh, this is stressful, this is bad. I have two responses. One is, who's died?
Yes.
Usually. Yeah. And the other one is actually, unless you experience the rough and the dark and the horrible and the stressful and the nothing too sinister, I hope, but those sorts of things, how can you possibly appreciate your life and be thankful for what you've got?
Exactly.
So it's a different point, but it's the same spectrum. You've got to have done different roles to know what you don't want to do, to know what you do want to do, and then how to flourish and be happy, I suppose. So you're right, it's a different type of role. I do want to get back to the tools and do the litigation one day, because I suppose, and putting it bluntly, having done this for a number of years now, guiding and managing and being the head of other people, it can be a bit of a pain in the arse, basically, because people are a pain. I mean, they've got lovely staff, don't get me wrong, but dealing with all of that, troubleshooting people, staff, this, that, and the other, I mean, it takes you away from what you love doing, I suppose.
Yeah, and litigation, it pulls apart from managing people. When you're managing tasks and the matters that you're working on, task and people are completely different aspects.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, you have the human. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. You have the human side in litigation, but it's different, because I don't mean this impersonally. It's not I care very much about my clients, but it's not your own personal issue. So you have that distance, and you can view it more objectively. And I mean, I always say lawyers are the worst ones for taking their own advice, basically, because you can say to a client, do this, that, and the other. Whereas if you say to a lawyer themselves, how would you deal with this in your own personal life? Oh, I don't know, I'm a bit stuck, really. So it's that distance actually helps you to do the day job better, I think. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why I'm keen now to interview more lawyers and to see how the legal profession is moving from when I was in it many years ago, when I was CEO of a 2-office law firm in Lincolnshire and head of department in the city law firm. So I've seen how things have moved over the years, both in the big cut and thrusting fast world in London and in provinces, now to what we're seeing. I was interviewing somebody earlier on who's working from home. I mean, that would never ever have happened. Never in a million years. And also not time recording, not by the clock, just giving what a fair price. This lady was, well, a fair price for this work depends upon the client's circumstance. We never would have done anything like that. And I think it's moved for the better, certainly from the client perspective.
Yes, I think that's right. Actually, we find that we're on those 2 points. One, if you take me back to pre-COVID and you said to me remote working, flexible
Mm,
working, people working virtually, working from home, I thought that's never going to happen. This is
yeah,
A, it would never happen. B, I wouldn't like it happening, and C, I don't know how we're going to manage it. But it's been
yeah,
absolutely fine, actually. And two, your point about different types of pricing model, I think we've got to move with the times, Elaine. I think you're right, because the hourly rate, I wouldn't say it's dead, but it's certainly dying. The hourly rate doesn't work for every single client. A lot of our litigation work, for example, is fixed fee. We say to a client, look, it would be 5 hours at £200 an hour, £1,000, but we'll do you a deal and do 750 for you, or fix it for you. How does that work? And they're commercial people. A lot of them say,
yes,
great, sounds fantastic. Even if you go over your time, we know how to budget. We don't have to overpay. We're not underpaying. We get your value out of it. We know what we're getting for the price. That's the modern world. That's how business works these days. Not I'm going to click my clicker on when I start working and get 6 minutes and jot it all down in Roman numerals and give you the bill and you'll be happy with it. Not necessarily. People like this modern way of working.
yeah. And I applaud it. When I did my thesis, I'm going back 1997 now, crikey Moses. When I did the world's first MBA legal practice at Nottingham Law School.
Wow. Yes.
And I was one of 38 people that came from all over the world to be on the programme. And we were marvelling at Andrew Woolley, who created the first virtual firm, and people would say, oh, it will never work, it will never work. And now look, there's so many virtual boutique type of firms who specialise in certain areas of law, and I think it's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, and you've got those firms who don't innovate or do things differently will die. I think you've got to move with the times, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. I don't mean to sound draconian about it, but those firms who don't move, don't recognise that the importance of client care, commerciality, value, technology, all that sort of stuff, deserve not to do as well, because they're not giving their clients what they need.
Yes, yeah, and it's a choice at the end of the day. The firm that I was with as CEO, when I was doing research, thinking, shall I do these interviews? Shall I extend the podcast? And whatever. Because my way of helping people in the last few years has been with the health and wellbeing piece.
Yes.
But I realised that there's only one of me, and it would take me too long to train somebody to do what I do, how I do it.
Yes.
But an integral part of my programme is the behavioural profiling. And I was thinking, well, that I can take into organisations virtually, because as you know, I'm in the Algarve here, the beautiful Algarve in Portugal, and I'm not going anywhere for nobody. So I will do this virtually, but I can bring the behavioural piece in, so I can identify and help people's teams with dynamics and relationship with clients, with each other, whatever. But the key thing that I'm doing now is I can identify from the profile who is at risk of burnout, who's already at burnout, and obviously coupled with conversations with a senior partner, managing partner. I've also got the health strategies to resolve. So I'm not just saying, oh, this one's ill or that one's ill. I've got the answers that I can help them on an individual basis. So, and with the inside knowledge that I've got on law firms, so that's where I'm coming from. But I'm interested to see what's going on in life inside law firms today, to bring me up to speed. And what I'm hearing so far is mixed. So I'm still hearing the pressure and the stresses, too many clients, or inability to manage time and people issues and this sort of thing. And I'm just wondering, a question for you, Jay, with the COVID stuff that happened, have we just moved the problem to the home, to the family? Because the problems of stress, overwork, long hours, all that kind of stuff has been known for millennia in law firms. Now people are moving to work from home. Are we just moving the problem to home, and then the stresses actually are multiplying because the work still needs to be done, and the individual has the flexibility, yes, but they also have a situation where they've got their families to deal with, and the children to manage, and whatever. What do you think?
I think so to some extent. I think it was when people look at and it depends how you divvy it up. I mean, most of my staff now are back in the office for most of the week. And originally, and this is the interesting one, we said to them, be at home as much as you want. I don't mind. I mean, at times during COVID, nobody was in the office. It was just me and a secretary, for example, dealing with the post, which they they enjoyed at first. A lot of them actually then said, we want to come back to the office, because it's the very mental health stuff that you're talking about. You know, we can't be at home, you know, within 4 walls 24 hours a day. It's killing us, because we like coming to that routine of driving to the office, or catching a train or walking to the office, and then mixing with colleagues and going home again. It divides up the day, and you've got your routine, and you can manage your stress levels better. Because you've got that compartmentalization, haven't you? Home and business. It's much easier, as you know from what you do. You're right. When it's just working at home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, how do they differentiate work and family and life and stress and jobs and other jobs at work and jobs at home, and putting the washing on and feeding the dog, and then going back and drafting a legal document? It's very, very difficult. So I think my answer to that is yes. I think the people who are working fully at home, and I found this with a lot of mine, actually some of them got a bit depressed and anxious and stressed when they were at home, and they wanted to come back to the office. So the answer is probably to have a bit of a mixture, at least. I don't think working at home 5 days a week really works for anybody. I'm yet to be proven wrong, but I don't think it really works for anybody, particularly because sometimes they feel isolated. There's pressure on them because people in the office are saying, oh, you're not answering calls at home, what's going on? And you can't print this out. We want you to come to the office to print the document out, because we're bearing the brunt of you being at home. So you get that sort of fractionalized working, I suppose, and that friction between people in the office and working at home, which isn't ideal either. So even if there isn't any stress, the perceived stress isn't great for them either. They're thinking I'm being left out of stuff, or not pulling my weight, or they're thinking I'm not pulling my weight, etc. So it's not the panacea that I think that we thought it might be at the outset, really. So and you need that division of tasks and labor and time, etc., to make it less stressful, I think.
Absolutely. So from your perspective then, where you've got staff all over the shop, which do you think is easier to manage, or is that an unfair question?
That's an interesting question, actually. It depends on the person and the type of work. I mean, I've got some staff who are still, put it this way, it wouldn't make much difference whether they're in or out of the office in terms of their own productivity, and how much I have to manage them or how little I have to manage them. They come in, do their work, get on with it. You know they're doing their work, whether they're at home or in the office, they get on with it, and there are no issues. If there are issues, they'll phone me up and email me, and it will be absolutely fine. So it depends on the person. And some are the other way around. Some who are more in the office, they just get on with it and it's absolutely fine. It depends on the number of people in their department, whether they need support, whether they need to be supervised, whether they need to be supervising others, the type of work they've got as to client contact, how often they need to be in the office, how the mechanics of their particular cases work, etc. What sort of individual, I mean, your personality profiling will be great for this. Are they the sort of people who can work well from home or not? We don't know. But I see it in people in the office. And I did find a division in the sense that I had sort of presumed before COVID that everybody would be managed in the same sort of way. But then I realized that where some people were working from home during COVID, some in the office as we came back to normality, I suppose, if that word can be used. I'm not sure we're ever back to normality, but you know what I mean. Different people had to be managed in different ways. And that depended on not only the personality, but all the other factors I talked about, and how well they were coping with being in those different environments. So there are so many different veneers and kind of shades of dark and light, aren't there, within this whole stress package, that you've got to, I think, look at each individual and manage them appropriately. Because there's no one size fits all, even though people thought there might be before COVID, really.
Absolutely. And this is where the profiling comes in, because quite often what we see is the person is one behaviour type outside of work when they're at home, and they go into the office, put on a suit or a uniform in some cases, and they turn into somebody else. And it's, that's not healthy. And when they're out of alignment, ideally what we want to see is what we see is what we get, wherever somebody is working. But that's not always possible. And that's where we can see the health challenges and the capability, the capacity, the level of adaptability changes with everybody, their circumstances, and all the rest of it. So when you start your law firm, your new firm, once you've got it, how long are you into this arrangement?
2 and a bit years. So I've got another 2 years, 2 months to go, actually. Almost,
crikey.
Yeah, almost to the day, actually. Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
A long time, although the 10 months have gone extremely quickly, exceptionally quickly. It seems like yesterday that I sold the firm. It really does seem like yesterday. So I know that it will go very quickly, which is a bit scary. At the same time, it's scary and exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what are your ingredients for starting on your own? Or are you going to be starting just you, or are you going to start another firm? Have
Good
you,
question.
or is that secret squirrel stuff that we shouldn't be
Oh
talking
no, I
about
don't mind
publicly?
sharing actually. I mean, I mean, there's three possibilities, Elaine. One is that I stay with this firm and I'm employed and consult for a while, which I know is what they want me to do. So we shall see. Can't make any promises. They're not listening, so it's fine. The second thing is that I potentially would set up a new litigation firm, maybe just me and a few other colleagues, or maybe just me alone. Getting back to the sort of tools that I was talking about, getting back to that work I love and just doing the litigation every day, day in, day out. So that's a possibility, brand new litigation firm. And the other thing that I know I want to do is, and I think we discussed this briefly before, is I would like to be a troubleshooter, mentor, coach to other law firm owners, which dovetails very nicely with what you do. Doesn't conflict with what you do, but dovetails very nicely with what you do.
Perfect.
I'm sure I could refer you many clients actually, because there is a real gap there. There aren't many people, if any, out there doing that. And I meet and speak to other lawyers all the time. Obviously, I can't start it yet because I'm tied in. I have my own obligations here. I can't start that for 2.5 or 2.5 years. But when I talk to other lawyers and just say, look, this is what I'm thinking of doing in the future, they all find it incredibly exciting. And some of them say, can you sign me up now? And I say, no, I can't yet. Give me a couple of years and then we'll go for it. But it's interesting. There's a big need for it because we're not looked after as lawyers. We're not taught the sort of stuff that I would be mentoring them about. And I think it will be great fun.
Well, when you get to that point, we definitely need to talk, because I'm talking to people like this in America, and I've been invited on podcast with some people who do this, the legal consulting. And when I say to them, what brought you into this? Oh, well, I just like the sound of it. There's no, they've got no qualifications, no background, no nothing. They just know that lawyers need help, and
Exactly.
good on them. But with the expertise that you and I've got together, there's who knows what will happen. But another option could be you setting up a department now within your firm that is helping other firms.
That's true. That's
now.
Why
wait 2 years?
Yeah, that's true. God, that's a good idea, isn't it? I haven't thought of that, Elaine.
Yeah.
Full of good ideas.
Yeah. Start off, because so many people I've mentored over the years, they go from corporate, then they overnight they think they're entrepreneurs and they haven't got a clue.
Yes.
So there needs to be a transition. So as you're transitioning already in your role, and you already know what you don't want to do, you know what, because you've been doing it, the admin and all that stuff. Start working towards and set up a firm with firm, and not a firm, a division within your firm now.
Not a bad idea, actually. I will propose it to my owner. That's not a bad idea at all, actually. Yeah, and make them some money, and why not? Yeah.
Well, it will make money, but it will also help you to look after your own mental well-being, because although it will go quickly, you're doing things that you don't particularly enjoy. They're doing them because they need to be done, not because you enjoy them, and the body will only put up with that for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I suppose you're right. There's nothing to stop me doing it. Starting a new department, lawyer coaching department. Don't need any special approval to do it. So why not? Actually, why not? Yeah.
I met a young man recently who is set up. He's already got 70-something firms that have expressed an interest, and it's a kind of a networking thing. And he's just having the idea of setting it up as a membership organization. And he and I will talk further. So they're saying the same to him: hurry up, really? So there is a need, and there is a need now before people start leaving the profession, because the pressures are too much. The novelty of working from home and the hybrid working is now going off, but you've still got the same pressures of the profession.
Yeah, you're right. There are so many pressures, and it's a great idea. Thank you. I mean, we find pressure for lots of different reasons, don't we? But particularly in the law at the moment, people aren't coming through the law. They find it too difficult. They want to leave the profession. It's full of regulation, compliance, and all the stuff that people don't want to be dealing with. So it's not as attractive a proposition as it used to be, I don't think, Elaine. No. So people are leaving the profession in their droves, and they're not coming through. So we have a real issue, for example, at the moment with recruitment. So we've got, touch wood, more than enough work coming in, but we just don't have enough lawyers to do the work, which is an invidious position to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's always the case. Whatever profession you talk to, it's the same problem, because it takes so long. Young lady I was talking to earlier on today, it took her 8 years. She's now 2 years PQE, but it took her 8 years to get to that I mean,
Exactly.
that's ridiculous, absolutely
It's
ridiculous.
It's crazy.
You know, trying to find the contracts and this and that. So at one level, there's no, it's like when you see a job advert, must have experience. But you know, how do you get experience if you don't get given the chance? So maybe there's some kind of hybrid that you can help with the young lawyers positions, and some kind of mentoring with the young lawyers. There's all kinds of ways that you could develop this.
Yeah, and I like nurturing young lawyers actually, because you're right. It's often better to bring those people through the system, as it were, and bring them up under your light and your vision, and see how they flourish. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see a very exciting future ahead, and probably not much sleep tonight.
Thank you. Yes, it is exciting. Yeah, and thank you for stirring those brain cells as well, little grey cells, as Poirot would say. Yeah, very good.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, what advice would you give then for lawyers who are in the situation that that they're overwhelmed? You know, they don't know which way to turn. What advice from your grey hair, your grey, as you call them, little grey cells?
Oh, grey cells. Yeah, it depends on the situation. It depends what sort of issue they're facing. But I think the big thing is, and lawyers I don't know why they don't do this, and this is part of the reason why I want to do what I want to do. They don't talk to other lawyers because they think, oh, they're competition and they're going to steal my ideas and I'm going to like a failure and I can't talk to them about mental health or issues or struggles. And I've seen that time and time again. Lawyers will not say to each other, what did you do in this situation? How did you? Because there's always somebody there who can help you, always somebody there. And I think it's good people are now being a bit more open about that sort of stuff. In rewind 3 years, nobody would ever talk to anybody else about this sort of stuff. You know, mental health and whatever the issue or problem may be. And now people realize we're all human. So I see stuff on LinkedIn, on social media all the time. People just say openly, I'm a lawyer setting up my own firm or whatever. Can I have help in this particular area? And people will jump to help.
Yes, yeah.
So I think the key is talk to other people. Don't be ashamed. Other people have been through what you're going through. You're not alone. And actually, you know this from the sort of people you deal with, Elaine. People are very good at putting up a facade.
Yeah.
I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful, I've got a big house, my firm is doing really well. And actually, when you dig beneath the surface, everybody's got issues. Everybody's got problems of some sort. And there's no shame in admitting that life isn't easy. You know, you can call on other people for advice and help, and people are, you know, we Brits, I mean, we're amazingly generous with our time and advice to others, and we like helping each other. That's part of our culture, isn't it? So reach out to other people, even if you're another lawyer, you know, who wants to you know, pick somebody's brain about what it's like to run a law firm. You know, contact me, contact another lawyer. I know people are wary about competition or, you know, all these dressed up notions that somebody else might think they're weak or whatever, but often that's not the case. Those barriers aren't there and people just perceive them to be there. Pick up the phone to somebody. You know, I have people phoning me all the time. I phone other people sometimes. It's don't be ashamed, don't be afraid. Do it. Pick up the phone. Somebody will help you. Or give me a call. I'm very happy to give up my time for free and advise people as to any issues if I can. I'm not perfect, but you know, I'm happy to advise people about any issues insofar as my expertise will allow me to do so.
Brilliant. That's excellent. And you could have masterminds for, you know, different levels, different areas of your new coaching department.
Exactly. It'll be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and the reason people don't speak is because a typical lawyer profile will vary according to the type of work. So your profile will differ to somebody who's doing wills and probate.
Yes.
And it's the same with accounting firms as well. Very often, the people who do the work are totally different behavioural style to the people who are leading and managing the firms. And so it should be, but that's why there's no communication, because they're heads down, getting on with the task, doing things properly, doing things slowly in a time-honoured, you know, measured way. Whereas the leadership team want things done quick, and everybody has a capacity, and we can tell that from the behavioural profile. I can tell how much capacity and adaptability somebody has without even meeting them. And as I say, how close they are to burnout, or, you know, maybe they've burnt out and they're putting on the brave face and they're complete mess and crumbled heap when they're out of work.
No, that makes sense.
Lots of work to do.
Yeah, you're right. It's about recognizing those differences, and often we don't. We paint everybody with the same brush, don't we?
Yes.
As you've said.
Yeah, marvelous. Okay, well, I look forward to Jarmans version 2 or whatever.
Thank you. Yeah, I've even put it in my diary, Elaine, and very few things make their way into my diary. So you are, you know, your pride of place.
Marvelous. Okay, right. Lovely to speak with you.
And you, Elaine.
This
Always
will be
a pleasure.
going on my Bright Minds Bright Business Mind section of my podcast when my PA sorts it out. And in the meantime, I wish you very well, and I shall be watching you with my eagle eyes. And if I can help you in any way.
Talking to you. Thank you. That's very kind. And likewise. And it's always a lovely pleasure talking to you. I always enjoy it.
Marvellous. All right. Take care. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Elaine. Take care.